Behold my stuff. Greetings, fellow makers. Bill here in the shop today, and I'm doing a blaster retrospective. I just finished up the Rattler build. I'm in love with it, and it got me thinking about all of the blasters I've made over the past 14, 15 years of prop making. I think I started in 2009, so yeah, 14 years of prop making, and I've made a lot of blasters. Now, I'm not a firearm enthusiast myself. I don't have any real firearms, but all of the games and movies and TV shows that I enjoy, they're MacGuffins. They're cool things you get to play with. They're mostly blasters. Sidearms, rifles, you name it, we've made them all, and I've picked a bunch of them, not all of them, because there's too many. You can see there's still quite a few on the shelves here. But I picked a bunch of them so that we can kind of go through my timetable, my backlog of projects I've worked on over the years, and learn a little bit about my maker journey through the lens of blasters. Many of these I started before we even started doing videos. So I don't have videos for all of them, but we do have some blog posts. If there's a blog post or a video, we will link them all down in the description if you want to find more about any of these projects. One of the first projects I did was my Team Fortress costume. We had a bunch of us. Brittany was the sniper, I was the soldier, and I made a rocket launcher. Got a post over on our website with like 3 pictures because it didn't take a ton of pictures. This thing was made out of PVC pipe, cardboard, and a funnel. And I think it turned out pretty great. We didn't have a lot of tools at the time, just a drill and a Dremel tool. We made it work. I think we used a lot of Bondo too. I helped Brittany on her sniper rifle as well. Unfortunately, we don't have either one of those. I think we gave those away when we moved at some point, but that was a really fun beginning. The next year at PAX, we decided to dress up as StarCraft characters. The same group of us got together, we had a huge group, and I was Jim Raynor, and I made his pistol. I sculpted this mostly by hand. I think I might have had a scroll saw at this point, or a jigsaw to cut out some of the parts, but it was mostly that and a Dremel tool and some hand sculpting. Now I molded this. I molded it with urethane for some reason, I don't know why, and I made a few copies. I don't have any copies myself, and I never finished this master. But my friend Scott Johnson's got one, and I believe I gave one to the folks over at Penny Arcade when we were at PAX. I enjoy this piece a lot because this is a great example of my humble beginnings. The final piece had a lot more like filigree and stuff on it. This is one I might have to revisit someday. Jim Raynor's pistol was 2010. The same year I made this wacky revolver for a steampunk convention here in Seattle. It's mostly MDF, similar tools, just like a rotary tool, a scroll saw, and an X-Acto knife. And it had a spinning cylinder, which I was very proud of. Super happy with how that turned out. It was a Wild West themed event, and we dressed up as like, or I dressed up as like a sheriff. And I made this thing. I also made, it's not a pistol, but I also made this wacky gauntlet thing that I'm still very proud of. It's like leather, and it had glowing lights in it at some point, and I think it looks pretty cool, my own original design. The next year, 2011, was when I got my very first commission from my twin brother, Rob. He wanted to do Battlestar Galactica costumes with his then girlfriend, now wife, Jamie, and boy, that's dusty. And I had to make some pistols. So I sculpted this, again, mostly by hand, and I believe a scroll saw. Might have had a drill press by then. And I molded this one as well, and I believe I sold some copies of it. This time I molded it in silicone, and it turned out better, not great. But I am still pretty happy with the results, especially the modeling. The paint job is a little heavy, bit heavy, but I've learned a lot since then. After that, 2011, 2012 was all about Mass Effect, and I made a bunch of Mass Effect blasters. I've got the N7 Eagle and the M5 Phalanx, which happens to be my favorite in the whole series. And I made a set of molds for these two pistols because they're both very similar. The top part I made replaceable so that I could make both versions with the same set of molds. Pretty proud of that, and still really happy with how these turned out. Super pumped about these, and I really got a taste for molding and casting with these projects. Learned a lot more about silicone molding and especially casting, because I cast a lot of copies of these. Right after that, I got a commission for the Carnifex, and of course its twin, the Paladin, which is my favorite of the two. So that's why I painted mine like this. And again, I feel like this was like the project where I really got mold making, and I did a lot of casting of these ones here. So this was with my Mass Effect costume. If you ever saw me running around in my Defender armor, I was probably carrying this with me. And a lot of these are out in the world. A lot of people bought castings of this from me. In fact, if you have one, let me know down in the comments. Love to see myself pop up after more than 10 years. Again, this was 2012. 2013, I started making some bigger things. This is Kerrigan's Rifle from StarCraft. Funny story, I brought a copy of this down to LA to have signed at Blizzard, and Evil Ted saw it and said that he made one. In fact, he made one for the statue that was in Blizzard headquarters, which I thought was so cool. This is just the master. I don't have a copy for myself. I may still have the mold somewhere. Someday I'll have to finish and paint one myself, but until then I have this honkin' thing. It's mostly made out of particle board and styrene. I think I got a lathe. I think that was my big upgrade for this project, was the lathe. Use the lathe and the drill press for a lot of this. And other than that, a lot of hand model making. Later that year in 2013, we launched a Kickstarter, the Prop Space Gun project. It was successful. We raised over $30,000 to make a bunch of different copies of our blaster. I actually don't have any. I've got the masters somewhere and the molds hiding in a corner somewhere. I never finished one for myself. It's on the list. It's something I really want to do. But we ended up casting well over 100 copies of it, and let's see, we used the money to get a vinyl cutter, I remember. So the vinyl cutter we still have. We have a K&K vinyl cutter that we used to make all the stencils for those blaster kits. I haven't seen a ton of them out there in the wild, but they're out there. We made a lot of them. 2014 rolled around. We started getting into foam. I was already making Mass Effect armor out of foam. Started making foam props. We also started getting into Destiny. This is one of the many Destiny hand cannons that I made. This is the only one I still have. I think I gave some of them away. I believe one of them is actually at the Complete Sculptor. I think I donated one to their collection. Either way, this was the dawn of foam props for us, and we started writing the Foamsmith books and putting those out. In fact, the first print book came out the year after this. 2014 was definitely the year of foam. 2015, another big one. We worked with Tested and, Smooth On to make the Alien Assault Rifle from District 9. Again, just the master. I don't have a finished copy myself. I have a casting somewhere. I promise I'm going to finish it someday. But Tested has one in their studio, and Smooth On has one in their studio. This was a big project, lots of work. This was right when Brittany quit her job and helped me make the molds for this. And this is also the project that kind of got me to meet Adam Savage, which was pretty cool. That year at Comic-Con was a lot of fun. We had a huge party. I also got to meet Alton Brown, and he got to play with my space rifle, which was pretty cool. 2016, we were deep into Destiny, deep into foam, and I also wrote Foamsmith 2, our foam prop book. And for that, I made the Jade Rabbit from Destiny. Now, I don't have it with me because I sold it to the guy that made the Jade Rabbit from the game, which I thought was really cool. He got to get a piece of something that he made digitally that I made real. But that one was a lot of fun. It has a magnet on the magazine, and I just really loved the design of that one. Also in 2016, our YouTube channel hit 100,000 subscribers, and for that, we did a little community project. We made the Malcolm Reynolds pistol. A lot of basic tools for this, scratch built out of styrene, I believe, or PVC. Real wood grips, very nice. And a lot of you made one of these. We saw tons of fun takes on the project. Eric Jones made one out of wood that looks so good, so good. We even have a tiny one somewhere. Someone made one really, really tiny, and I believe someone made one out of bread and cheese, which might be my favorite. That was 2016. That was 100,000 subscribers. Feels like a million years ago. Also that year, I started getting into 3D printing. We got the Dremel 3D printer. We worked with Autodesk and did a series of videos about 3D printing. And this was the first big project I made on the 3D printer. It's Ray's Blaster from Star Wars. And I modeled all of this in 123D Design, which isn't even around anymore. Super proud of the results. This is something that I sanded, molded, and cast. And I've cast a bunch of different copies of it. In fact, don't even think I have the mold. I think someone's borrowing the molds right now. This was a fun one. I got to do some write-ups on Tested's website about this particular project, and I'm still very pleased with how it turned out. The finish is great. These are all-clad lacquers for the shiny finish. The very next year, 2017, I wanted to challenge myself to learn Fusion 360, and I did it by diving headfirst into a gigantic project. Another Destiny project. This is the Boolean Gemini, and I believe we printed this on the Ultimaker. I think this is when we had the Ultimaker. And I love how it turned out until I left it in a hot car and it melted. If you look up close, you'll see that pretty much everywhere is completely melted and warped from a hot car. But I still love it. I can't throw it away. I just put it up in a corner there where I can just kind of see it out of the corner of my eye and pretend that it wasn't completely destroyed. But this was a huge level up. This was a big project, and I did a whole series of videos on this build using Fusion 360 for the first time. Also that year, another Destiny prop. This was 2017. I had this airsoft pistol that has all the action you would want from a cool pistol. In fact, this was fully automatic, just like the Dead Man Walking pistol in Destiny. It was a match made in heaven. 3D printed all these parts on the Ultimaker and got them to fit perfectly on this frame. And it still looks great, and it still works really well. I will say it's a little violent when it shakes, and some of the parts kept falling off. I do believe I put a screw in there to hold it in place. But yeah, sometimes people ask me about turning props into airsoft guns, and it's exactly what I've done here. And I love this thing. I don't have any of them here, but we've also done some guns for our friends over at Film Riot. We did the Sentinel rifle, all made out of foam. I made a case for it and everything. That thing turned out really well. Of course, we've got a video for that. And more recently, we've done some project where I made another rifle for them. We'll have links to those videos down in the description if you want to see some of our props getting used in really cool films. The folks at Film Riot are the best, and I love every time I get a chance to work with them. All right, we're up to 2018, and I was looking to challenge myself, so I made this. Now, everyone's made a Bladerunner Blaster. I wanted to do something a little bit different, so I did like some fan fiction. I decided to design that gun only 30 years later. Let's say that product had been iterated on for like 30 years. So I came up with this. Call it the Replicant Blaster. It's got all sorts of functions. It's got lights in it. It's got the pew pew action. This thing opens up. It's got some dummy bullets in there. And of course, it's got the cool bolt action lever thing going on there. The challenge with this was I didn't want to use any glue or paint. So everything was molded and cast with this cold cast aluminum finish. And all of the black parts are just raw black plastic that was cast, as well as the grips, which are raw orange plastic that are translucent and very pretty. This was a real level up for me. It took me, I think, 6 months of kind of poking at it to get it right. I did a lot of prototyping, a lot of trial and error till I got it just right. And I absolutely dig this thing. It's 33 pieces in total, not counting all the screws and everything. 33 molds. That's how many molds I had to make. The next year, 2019, we did some more foam smithing. Let's see, do the batteries still work? They do. This is the Unkempt Herald from Borderlands. We did a whole series, I believe 3 videos showing how to make a foam firearm, including lights. We've got the LEDs in there. And another really fun one. I've made a few things from Borderlands. It's one of my favorite series, and I especially love the style and all of the different manufacturers and the different styles they put into their weapons. This one's fun. I believe we have templates and everything. If you want to give it a go, you should try this project if you want to do some foam smithing. In fact, I believe I saw one of these at DragonCon this year. Later that year, we made another big one. Hold on. We did the Nuke launcher from Fallout. This thing is obnoxiously big, but I absolutely adore it. It is all rusted out. It's got an actual rubber band powered firing mechanism. Not sure if it works anymore. This rubber's looking a little crusty, but I just dig the look of this thing. We've got a mini nuke sitting around here somewhere that we can use as an actual projectile. This thing was just so much fun to build and even more fun to shoot. All right, we're almost done doing more 3D printing. This was my COVID project. This was something I absorbed myself in while we were in the thickest part of the pandemic. Of course, it's Vash Stampede's revolver. It's got the reloading mechanism. It's got a spinning cylinder, and it's got all the firing operations as well. I really pushed myself to get all of those mechanisms to work. Again, this took months of poking at to get it right. A lot of printing and failing and trying again. But it's just, I see it every day because it's in my office near all my stuff. And every time I see it, it makes me so happy because I love the series. And ever since I first saw the series, I wanted one of these, and now I have one, and it's exactly what I want. Now, most of the 3D printing stuff we did was FDM, but this little fella here, the Noisy Cricket, was done on a resin printer. This was an example for our 3D printing course, our Fusion 360 course, and I had to sand it and paint it with those all-clad paints to make it look all pretty, and I just really, really adore this thing. It's impossible to not get happy when you see it. It's the first thing people see when they come over to my house that they need to hold in their hand. It's so cute, and I love it. Which brings us to the present. This is the Rattler, of course, that we just finished up. It's got a reloading mechanism. The video just came out, and we've got the files out if you want to print and build one for yourself. I've already seen people starting to build them, and it makes me really excited to see when folks play along. So there it is. That is my Blaster retrospective. This is, again, some of the projects that we've worked on over the years. They all have videos or blog posts you can find linked down below. Thank you so much for hanging out and going on this journey with me. Special thanks goes out to the members of our Extra Credit Club for their financial support. Those are the fine folks that keep us employed and keep a roof over our head. We thank them so much for the help over the years. It makes a huge difference. That'll wrap it up for me. We've got some more projects to work on. Can't wait to get to those and share them with you. Happy crafting, and we'll see you in the next build.